Hello and welcome, I'm Dan Toppy, and today I'm going to be giving you the best guide for the map combine. This map guide is going to cover all the spawns, the tactics you should be using, the positions you should be playing, and the weapons that you should be using if you want to do the best on the map combine. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about is the spawns. On screen now you can see the primary spawns, so if you don't really know how the spawn system works in Call of Duty, you have your main primary spawns, which is where you spawn at the start of the map. And then as the enemies push into your base, if they do, then you go out to the secondary spawns, and then if those secondary spawns and your primary is taken up, then you go into the tertiary spawns. You'll see the secondary and the tertiary in a minute, but at the moment you can just see the primary, you can see the Black Ops on the right and the CDP on the left. This is where you're going to spawn right at the start of the map. So these are the places that you should assume that the enemy is going to be coming from. Unless your team have overextended into their base and they have flipped out back into your spawn, this is where you should be expecting them to come from. The only point when you wouldn't be expecting the enemy team to be pushing out of either of those main primary spawns is if you're taking both the A and C flag on domination. If your team is taking both these flags, then enemies will spawn out near the B flag, because that should be the spot which is going to be more open. Basically how the spawn system works, it looks for an empty spot on the map and it spawns you there. So if you're on the A and C flags, it will spawn the enemies at the B, so then you need to turn around and go and fight them. So as you can see, both of the secondary spawns are on the water side of the map, not the wall run side. This is good because when you're not spawning in a primary spawn, you really want to rotate back and go and get one of them, because you want to be spawning in a primary spawn just because it's a lot easier to not die straight off spawn. A primary spawn is a much more secure spawn, you're more likely to be away from the enemies. If you're in a secondary, it's a lot easier to die. And from these secondary spawn positions, it's really easy to get back to your primary spawn so you can take it back for your team. The tertiary spawns on screen now in green are basically your worst spawns that you could be getting. If you spawn in around those locations, then you need to assume that there's going to be enemies around you, because basically it's the game's last resort of where to spawn you. It doesn't have anywhere else to spawn you, so it puts you in those positions which is really close to all the enemies. Sometimes this can work out great because you can get a lot of kills off it, but it usually doesn't, you usually just die, so you want to be really holding them primary spawns as much as you can. So if you want to keep your team spawning in a good primary spawn, then you don't want to overextend. Overextending is basically pushing into a further part of the map where the enemies are spawning, which then flips them out onto the other side of the map, which causes them to spawn behind you and the spawns to get all messed up. So the way I think of it is that I think of the map as being split up into thirds. In one third you've got the enemy's spawn, then you've got mid-map, then you've got your spawn. And your team should only ever be taking up 2/3 of that map. If you're taking up more than that, they will flip out to the other one. This is unless you've got a lot of people anchoring your spawn in your home base. If the enemy team do flip out and they do take your primaries, then I wouldn't really suggest fighting for that spawn or that flag. Just push into the spot that they just flipped out from and take that flag or that primary spawn, and then you should be okay and nobody should really go into the tertiary spawns. So the next thing I want to talk about are the tactics you should use when you're playing on Combine. Really, the only good tactic that I have that I like to use on this map is just the flank with this wall. So you want to run around here, get as low on this wall as you can, so just jump, don't boost. As long as you're running as low as you can, like eye level at these players, then they won't be able to kill you as easy. Generally be someone sitting right here aiming at you, so you want to be shooting here, pre-aiming whilst you come around the corner. And you just want to either run to there, or you can run the same route as low as you can, but you jump to this wall here. This is good if you're playing on domination, because you come around here, you've got usually someone sitting there, someone up there you can peek release because they won't really be expecting it, or they'll be on the flag and you can come around here and just spray them all down. So that's a pretty good route to take. Otherwise, if you're doing it from this side, then you want to run again as low as you can on the wall, cross over to this one, get down here, and then there'll generally be someone sitting there or in this window that you can get, or then you can just pop up and shoot the person there. So that's a pretty good spot to take. Moving on to the spots that I think are really good in this map. If you run up here, this is a really generic spot that a lot of people like to use, but I find a lot of people are proning down here. This is really bad because you can't move away quick, because someone can easily just come running along here, double jump up here, and then spray you down because they're moving quick and you're not. You're just sitting here waiting to die. If you're proning and aiming there, you are going to die. So you want to be at least crouching, if not standing, and just peeking this corner every now and again and just keep on spraying. You can shoot through this wall, so you can get kills through it. It is pretty easy to do. If you are over here, you are a lot more in close. I would say to prone on the left side, because then you're only exposing yourself to that corner. If you're proning in the centre, then you're exposed to the whole thing. So anyone who's in that corner or peeking the wall can see it. If you just here, you can only see the little crack in the wall, and you can also see people who might be jumping over there. This is a spot that I would especially say to use if you're using an assault rifle. If you're using a sub, I wouldn't really say play that spot. I would say just either run, do the wall run water side, or run straight down mid, hugging this wall, and come into this building, or do the same for the other way. Alright, so if you're spawning at the primary spawn out back there, and you've just taken this B flag, if you're on domination, then I like to come and sit here. Especially if you're running awareness, this is a great place to sit because you can hear all the enemies that are coming through this door, and generally they won't peek this, so you'll be able to hear them there. You can either quickly pop up and kill them there, or you can just wait for them to run past you and for them to jump down from there and go straight onto the B flag because they're idiots generally and they don't know what they're doing. Then you can just sit here and you can just spray them down really easy, getting a lot of points towards your streaks. Alright, so a tactic I like to use when on water side, you want to jump onto this wall here, cross over to this one, jump as high as you can here, and then wall running along here, then you can get the jump on a lot of people coming through here. That's a great tactic to use, I love using it. Here's the final spot I want to talk about on this map. Again, if you're using an assault rifle, not if you're using a submachine gun like this, you can just sit here and keep on peeking here. If you're using an M8, I find this works really well, or even a sniper rifle. Then you can just keep peeking, just keep on getting them headshots because they're really accurate from this spot. You can just keep on head glitching. So the final thing that I want to mention is the weapons that I think you should be using on this map. Really, I think that you can use any gun that you want on this map because it's such a well-designed map that you can play at any sort of speed, any playstyle that you like. But what I suggest is that if you're planning on just sitting and waiting for the enemies to come to you at mid-map, then you should be using an assault rifle. And if you're pushing them flanks, then you should be using a submachine gun. Sniper rifles like the Locusts are also really good on this map. If you're sitting up in their mid-spot, then it can be really effective because those spots are so open, and even if they do go behind those little bits of cover that they have, you can generally just shoot through it and get them anywhere. So that is everything that I have to say about the Combine map. I hope this video has helped you improve at Black Ops 3 and that you now know everything there is to know about Combine. The points that I made about the spawn system are pretty similar in every map, so you can basically transfer that over to any map that you want to be able to know where all the enemies are going to be spawning and what you should be doing in every situation. But if you have enjoyed them, please like and subscribe to see all of my next Call of Duty content, and I'll see you next time.